Hello everyone, you are welcome. Thank you for being a part of this tutorial. And today we are going to be learning how to make a Zara cap with this padded twisted design using raw silk fabric and foam. We are working on a tuban design. We are working on a Zara cap design which has the band with the marco in it, and then it's going to be having a padded twisted design on the band. It's a simple straightforward design. So I have my fabrics here. I'm working with raw silk fabric. 1 yard is more than enough for this project, and we're needing the marco and also the foam in addition to the fabrics. Now for my fabric, the fabric for my Zara cap, I'm having 24 inches by 17 inches, yeah, 24 by 17 inches, yeah. I also have the marco, and I have 2.8 inches by 18 inches, 2.8 inches for the width by 18 inches. And then finally I have the fabric for the twisted design. You can use your fiber, you can use your foam in padding it. I'm using 12 inches by 36 inches. So what I have here is 12 inches by 36 inches. Now when it comes to sewing, for this fabric that we're going to be padding and twisting, I will get it, fold it into two equal halves, sew it down from one end down to the other end, and I will set it aside. I'm going to get the fabric for the Zaria cap. Now when it comes to the fabric for the Zaria cap, I have it here, and then I will go ahead to fold it into two equal halves. After folding it into two equal halves, I will go ahead to make a notch at the middle of the fabric. So this is my fabric, and I'm folding it into two, and then I will make a notch at the middle. As soon as that is done, I will get the marco, and on getting the marco, I'll fold it into two equal halves and then mark it down. Now that I'm done with that, I'll get my fabric, place it with the wrong side facing me. I'll place my marco on it, and then go ahead to fold this down, and also folding this fraying edge inside, so that I can place this on my sewing machine and stitch it down from this end down to the other end. Then I'll also get back. So at this point, I'm done sewing my fabric, as you can see, and then I'm going to adjust this because I don't want this sewing stitch to be visible or to be at the top of the cap. So to do that, I'm going to move this sewing stitch down to the middle of my Zaria cap, that is of my band on the wrong side. So I'll just start pushing it in. So as soon as that is done, this is it. I have the sewn part at the middle. This is it for this other side, and then I'll go ahead to set it aside this way. Now coming to the fabric for the design, I've folded it and I've sewn it into two. So I'll go ahead to turn it inside out, and I have it this way. So I'm taking my measurement. What I'm having is about 5.5 inches for the width. So you decide if you are working with your foam or your fiber, and then you cut it out by the length of the fabric. So I have my fabric and I have my foam already cut out. So I will go ahead to now insert this inside the fabric. Now, if you look carefully, you'll find that remember we have positioned this sewn part to the middle of the marco, and this is how the cap is, okay. So let me place it this way. This is how it is. Now this is my padded design, and I went ahead to double it so that it can be full, very thick, rather than using a single piece of fabric. So I use the same measurement for both. And then this fabric we are intending to use for the twisted design, which I said is 36 inches, is a little too big. At the end of the day, we'll be cutting off the excess fabric. So I went ahead to pin this part down to this edge, and I have my design here. So what I'll be doing now is that I'll be making my twist. So this is me trying to position it in a round pattern because of the way it will be worn on the head. And then I'm now trying to twist it. You just twist it. There's no special technique as to how the twisting is done. Just keep turning your fabric, and then as you turn your fabric you can get pins. Now please watch very carefully. I first pinned the edge of the twisted design down to the edge of my Zara cap, and then when you are creating your twisted design, you are going to be like folding your cap in a round shape, in like the way it is worn on the head. Don't twist your fabric and then sew it flat on the band where the marco is. You'll find out that the at the end of the day the design will end up being so small, but by the time you are making, that is, you are folding your marco in a round shape, and then you are tacking your twisted design on it in a round shape with the marco, you will get the perfect fitting for it. Now the foam I used, remember I doubled it. I made use of 5.5 inches for the width. The length is about between 21 to 23 inches depending on how you twist your fabric. Now twisting your fabric is just freehand, there is no special technique to it, but then twist your fabric in a way that it is the same measurement in terms of the width as that of the marco. And then when watch carefully, while I was twisting and sewing my fabric, my needle was not coming out on top of, that is at the top of the twisted design where is visible to the eye. It's either you allow your thread to come out at the edge close to the end of the mark, on either the top or on the lower base. So that is it. Then I'm going to cut off the excess foam and stitch it down, then arrange this in place properly. I'm very sorry about this. So what I did was to just fold my fabric into two with the twisted design inside, and I had it sewn down from one end to the other end. I didn't realize that this part of the video was not recorded. It was an omission on my part. It was during the point of editing I realized it, so I'm very sorry about that. So right here I've been able to fold my cap into it, even though it was bulky. I've been able to sew it. So this is the same thread I used to bend my design. Then there's something else I can do. Since it's very wide this way, if I'm bothered about that, I can cut that this way, then come to this part, go ahead to tie it. If you feel the sewing thread is too long and it's too visible, I'll go ahead to tie it like this, and then cut off the excess thread. Then I'll come over to this part and repeat the same thing. So this is the first two, and then this is the one we cut into two, so you can see how it is. Meanwhile, for this part, I have my needle and thread here, and I'm going to be making a running stitch. I'll start immediately after the band, and I'll start to gather it this way until I get to the end. Okay, then this is after making my running stitch. this is the wrong side of the cap, and I went ahead to turn it inside out and I had this. So I'll place this on my dummy head, and on placing it on my dummy head, this is how it looks like. Please be careful while working, especially at the back. You want it to look straight, neat and perfect, because there's no design at the back. Thank you for watching, and this is the end of this tutorial.